They called it the greatest war of all time, the conflict that divided the world and forever altered the course of history. Names like Churchill, Roosevelt, Eisenhower, and Montgomery echo through classrooms and documentaries. Battles like D-Day and Stalingrad have shaped tales of heroism and sacrifice told again and again. But beneath the surface of these celebrated stories lies a vast shadow world, millions of souls whose bravery remained shrouded in smoke and silence. Forgotten soldiers from distant lands, whose sacrifices were no less real, no less costly. Heroes whose names never graced medals, who fought both enemies abroad and indifference at home. Today, we journey beyond the headlines, beyond the familiar faces, to bring to light the untold stories of the forgotten warriors of World War II. Men and women from the hills of India, the deserts of Africa, and the islands of the Caribbean. Their struggles, their pain, their courage pulsed at the heart of some of the toughest battles of the war. Archives reveal chilling photos, faces young and determined, cloaked in grime and fear. Letters home speak of hope and despair, of dreams shattered and courage ignited in the face of overwhelming odds. Why were these stories lost? Why did history choose to erase their voices from the official record? The answer is complex. It's a tale of empire, race, and politics tangled within the ashes of a war that shaped the modern world. But tonight, we refuse to let these ghosts stay silent any longer. We listen closely to what the smoke whispers, the echoes of valor, the hidden cries, the enduring spirit of those brave, forgotten heroes. In the bitter cold of early 1944, the mountains of Italy became the stage for one of the bloodiest and most desperate battles of World War II. Monte Cassino, a towering fortress of rocks and ruins, was the linchpin in the Allies' effort to break through the German Gustav Line and march on Rome. What is little known, however, is that key roles in this epic struggle were played by soldiers from the Indian subcontinent, far from their homeland, fighting not only enemies, but the harshest conditions imaginable. Imagine thousands of young Sikh and Gurkha soldiers recruited from villages scattered across northern India. These men traded their familiar fields and hillsides for the craggy, frozen slopes of Monte Cassino, terrain that was as hostile as the enemy artillery raining down upon them. These warriors, trained extensively but barely understood by their commanders, carried not only rifles, but the hopes of millions who lived under colonial shadow, fighting battles that would decide their own futures as much as Europe's. Letters smuggled back home reveal the raw reality of war through their eyes. In one such letter, a Sikh soldier wrote, "We fight for freedom, but not for the freedom of those who send us here. Our hearts burn with the hope of a home that may yet be free." Their courage in charging across minefields, often under heavy machine gun fire, earned them hard-won victories, but few medals or recognition. The Gurkhas, famed for their curved kukri knives and fierce loyalty, scaled walls and stormed trenches with a ferocity that stunned even their enemies. Veteran soldiers recount how the nickname the Nepali Invincibles was whispered with equal parts admiration and fear by both friend and foe. Yet, despite their valor, the official histories often gloss over their sacrifices, with many accounts simply relegating them to footnotes. What happened to erase such crucial contributions from the narrative? The reasons are tangled. Colonial politics, racial prejudices, and the sheer scale of the war conspired to keep many stories buried. Official war historians, predominantly Western, prioritized narratives that fit a Eurocentric view, unintentionally or intentionally silencing voices from the Commonwealth soldiers. It was only decades later that efforts began to acknowledge these hidden soldiers. Memorials in India and the UK now include names of Indian regiments who fell at Monte Cassino. Still, many families hold on to letters and photographs, private relics of a sacrifice great but largely forgotten. These men fought in a war too big to be told in its entirety, yet their personal stories shimmer like embers in the dark. They remind us that history is not only written by the victors, but also shaped by the silenced voices that demand to be heard. The battle for Monte Cassino was not just a clash of armies, it was also an unacknowledged struggle for dignity and recognition. As we continue, listen closely to the whispers from these distant hills, to the echoes of a bravery often overlooked yet never diminished. June 6, 1944, the day the world remembers as D-Day, marks the largest amphibious invasion in history. Thousands of Allied troops stormed the beaches of Normandy, France, fighting to liberate Europe from the grip of Nazi tyranny. Among them marched a group of men whose struggles went far beyond the battlefield. They were the African American soldiers known as the Buffalo Soldiers and Caribbean fighters, brave men who faced not only the enemy's bullets, but also the harsh realities of segregation and discrimination within their own armed forces. Imagine the paradox, fighting to free another continent, yet not fully free themselves. Racism was institutionalized. These men lived in camps separated from white soldiers, their opportunities limited by prejudice, yet they performed vital roles on the front lines. Machine gunners, medics, engineers, they were everywhere where the fighting was fiercest. In personal letters, many expressed a deep yearning for equality. One soldier wrote home, "I fight for a world where my children can walk free, not shackled by the hate we suffer here." Despite their valor, many faced skepticism from officers and were assigned to support roles rather than combat. But on the beaches of Normandy, that all changed. Their grit and determination shone through the chaos and carnage of D-Day. Stories emerged of men braving heavy fire to rescue wounded comrades, digging trenches under relentless bombardment, and advancing with steady resolve amid the roar of artillery. Yet, after the war, their stories were largely overlooked. Official records rarely mentioned their names. Medals were scarce. It was a bitter victory. Liberation abroad, but limited civil rights at home, a contradiction that laid the seeds for America's civil rights movement in the decades to come. This chapter of World War II history remains vital, a testament to courage under double oppression. Their fight was against tyranny, both foreign and domestic, a battle for freedom that continued long after the guns fell silent. As we remember their sacrifice, we honor the men who paved the way for future generations. Their footsteps on Normandy's blood-soaked sands echo in the ongoing journey toward justice and equality. While the history books often glorify men on the front lines, a quiet but lethal force operated in the shadows during World War II. The women espionage agents, codebreakers, resistance fighters, and medics whose courage changed the course of the war from behind enemy lines. Take the jungles of Burma, where brave women disguised as local villagers smuggled crucial messages to Allied forces, organized entire sabotage missions, and saved countless lives by exposing enemy plans. They moved in silence, unseen, armed only with pots, radios hidden in baskets, and unwavering determination. In North Africa, female operatives worked closely with the Allies, gathering intelligence, guiding bombers to strategic targets, and infiltrating enemy headquarters. These women were trained in hand-to-hand combat, fluent in several languages, and experts in disguise. The danger was constant. Discovery meant immediate execution. One of the most remarkable stories is of Noor Inayat Khan, an Indian princess turned British spy. Working valiantly in occupied France, Khan communicated vital information back to London, despite overwhelming risks. Her bravery cost her life, but her legacy lives on as a symbol of resilience and sacrifice. Their stories were often eclipsed by those of male commanders and infantrymen, but their impact was profound. Women in the shadows broke codes that turned tides, sabotaged logistics that crippled enemy advances, and raised morale when hope seemed dim. Their emotional toll was immense. Often isolated, constantly under threat, these women bore the weight of secrecy and lived with the knowledge that any misstep could mean death. Yet they persevered, igniting sparks of rebellion and courage that helped shape freedom's final victory. Today, as we unearth these stories, we honor their silent courage and remember the vital role women played, not just as nurses or helpers, but as fierce warriors in their own right. While much of World War II history focuses on iconic confrontations like Stalingrad or Normandy, countless battles crucial to the war's outcome remain largely forgotten. These were brutal, unforgiving clashes fought in harsh and remote terrains, where soldiers endured unimaginable hardships and showed unparalleled bravery. One such battle took place in the deserts of North Africa. The Moroccan Goumier, light infantry known for their fearless attacks and expert use of terrain, played a pivotal role. They operated in blistering heat, using guerrilla tactics to disrupt Axis supply lines and protect Allied flanks. Their fearless night raids and ability to scale rocky escarpments earned them both admiration and dread from allies and enemies alike. Farther south, Nigerian soldiers, often overlooked, fought fiercely in similar campaigns, battling not only well-equipped enemies, but also disease, exhaustion, and poor logistics. Their resilience became legendary, a testament to unyielding human spirit in the face of adversity. In Eastern Europe, lesser-known but no less fierce battles raged in places like Narva and Valka. These locations saw desperate fighting between Soviet and German forces, with soldiers caught between the larger political tides of war. For many, these conflicts meant months or even years of survival in freezing conditions, with scant supplies and constant threat of ambush. These forgotten battles shaped fronts and bought precious time for strategic maneuvers elsewhere, yet they rarely make it to popular history. Their stories are often told only through personal letters, small unit histories, and oral testimonies from veterans. But these hidden clashes hold lessons of courage, endurance, and sacrifice. They remind us that victory was not only decided on the grand battlefields known worldwide, but also in sun-scorched deserts, frozen forests, and crumbling towns few have heard of. As we explore these battles, we uncover a mosaic of heroism scattered across continents, a tapestry woven with the lives of those who dared to fight, often in obscurity, so that the world might live free. The guns fell silent. The war was won. But for many of the brave souls who fought and bled on distant fronts, the battle for recognition was only beginning. Across continents, thousands of forgotten warriors returned home to lives that failed to honor their sacrifice. Official records carefully preserved by governments excluded many names from victory parades and medal ceremonies. Political priorities and racial prejudices denied recognition to countless soldiers and support personnel from colonies and minority groups. Families waited years, sometimes decades, for letters or medals that never arrived. The story of Private Isaac Okoro, a Nigerian soldier who single-handedly held a bridge against an enemy battalion, remains unknown outside his village. Despite eyewitness accounts and recommendations, his bravery was never officially acknowledged. His family's hope for posthumous honor continues to this day. Similar tales play out among the Indian regiments that fought in Italy and Africa, the Caribbean crews manning vital supply convoys, and the African-American units in the U.S. forces. Historical bureaucracy combined with systemic racism obscured many heroes. On rare occasions, efforts to rectify these oversights have met success. Memorial services now honor some forgotten regiments, and museums display stories once buried in archives. Yet, the struggle for full recognition continues, fueled by the passionate work of historians, communities, and descendants. The injustice cuts deep, not merely a question of medals or monuments, but of dignity, of truth. It reminds us that history is written not only by those who survive, but sometimes by those who dominate narratives, leaving shadows where stories belong. By reclaiming these narratives, we draw closer to a complete picture of World War II, a global conflict shaped by the courage of many voices, some still waiting to be heard. Despite decades of research, World War II still holds secrets, hidden stories, unresolved questions, and mysteries locked away in forgotten archives. The deeper historians dig, the more fragments of lost history come to light, challenging the narratives we thought complete. Take the vanished convoys in the Atlantic, the whispered tales of missing gold shipments lost to the sea, the secret experiments shrouded in secrecy. Each new discovery raises questions. What else was left untold? What truths remain buried under decades of silence? Even entire battles fought in obscure corners, the Aleutian Islands, the deserts of Central Asia, are only now beginning to be appreciated for their strategic importance and human cost. We also face the challenge of misinformation and distortion. Over the decades, some war stories have been exaggerated, others minimized, and many reshaped by political agendas. The true experiences of soldiers, especially from marginalized groups, risk being overshadowed by popular myths. Uncovering these layers requires persistent effort, poring over diaries, letters, and eyewitness accounts, as well as breaking through bureaucratic and national barriers to access archives. This effort is not simply academic, it's about restoring humanity to history. Every name, every voice adds richness and complexity to our understanding of a war that shaped the modern world. Recognizing these hidden truths is essential to honoring the full legacy of sacrifice and valor. Ultimately, what we don't know reminds us that history is living, always in motion, always emerging, and it is our responsibility to listen deeply, search diligently, and remember fully. World War II was a war of nations, armies, and grand strategies, but at its heart, it was a war of people. People like the forgotten warriors we've met on this journey. Indian soldiers who scaled icy mountain peaks, African American troopers fighting for dignity amid battle and segregation, women spies risking all in silent shadows, and countless others whose names faded into history's margins. Their stories challenge us to see history not in broad strokes, but in the faces, voices, and sacrifices of individuals. War was brutal, unfair, and complex, but through it shines undeniable courage, resilience, and hope. We tell these stories not only to honor those who fought, but to remind ourselves that the past's echoes shape our present and future. The fight for justice, equality, and truth carries on, rooted in the legacy of those brave souls who demanded to be remembered. As viewers, you carry this knowledge forward, share these untold stories, rediscover forgotten heroes, and honor the full tapestry of history. Thank you for walking alongside us through these hidden pages of World War II. Stay with us as we continue to uncover history's shadows, bringing light to stories yet told. While the roaring cannons and marching armies epitomize the battles of W. Weber, an often overlooked legion worked behind the scenes to fuel the Allied war effort, the engineers and technicians. These unseen heroes scattered across continents, built, repaired, and innovated essential war machines under pressure few can imagine. In factories from India to Canada, men and women labored tirelessly, turning raw materials into tanks, planes, and weapons that tipped the scales of war. These were not just factory workers, they were pioneers in material science, mechanical innovation, and logistical coordination. In one remarkable story, technicians in the Punjab province developed rapid repair techniques for damaged aircraft, shortening turnaround times and keeping air cover constant over critical battle zones. Their innovation was so effective that it saved thousands of lives and countless missions. Across the Caribbean, shipyards buzzed with activity as engineers coordinated emergency hull repairs on supply vessels torpedoed in the Atlantic, transforming near disasters into successful recoveries that sustained vital supply chains. Their work was grueling and dangerous, often done under blackout conditions or threat of air raids. Without their efforts, many frontline successes would have been impossible. Yet, their names rarely appear on monuments or history books. By honoring these engineers and technicians, we remind ourselves that victory is built not only on bravery in battle, but on the skill, innovation, and unwavering dedication of those working silently behind the scenes. War is often seen as a human endeavor, strategy, weapons, and soldiers. But in World War II, animals played crucial and often heartbreaking roles, serving alongside humans in ways few remember. Dogs were the most common companions and soldiers' partners on the battlefield. Some were trained as messengers, running dangerous routes under fire to deliver vital communications. Others worked as sentries, detecting enemies before humans could, saving countless lives. Stories abound of dogs who barked warnings just in time or who comforted wounded soldiers with silent loyalty. Horses, mules, and donkeys remained essential in remote and mountainous battlefields where vehicles couldn't go. They carried supplies, pulled artillery, and transported the injured. In Eastern Europe and Asia, cavalry units still played significant roles even as mechanization advanced. The bond between rider and animal was often one of deep trust and dependence. Even pigeons held a unique place in military history. Carrier pigeons were used to send messages when radio communications were compromised or unavailable. Their homing ability turned them into tiny feathered soldiers, often flying through storm and gunfire. Some pigeons received medals for their heroic service. Perhaps less known but no less astonishing are stories of animals who won military honors alongside humans for bravery and service. Animals at war remind us of the many forms sacrifice took during those harrowing years. Their courage, loyalty, and silent heroism highlight a less-told chapter of the ultimate struggle, one that is both touching and awe-inspiring. World War II was not only fought with guns and soldiers, it was also a battlefield for medical innovation that would change the future of healthcare. Hidden behind the front lines, doctors, nurses, and scientists worked in makeshift hospitals and secret labs, racing to save lives and conquer new medical challenges. One of the greatest breakthroughs was the mass production and use of penicillin. This miracle drug saved countless lives, turning fatal infections into treatable conditions. British and American scientists collaborated in an unprecedented effort to produce penicillin at scale, helping wounded soldiers survive gangrene and pneumonia. At the same time, field hospitals pioneered new surgical techniques and developed rapid blood transfusion methods. Surgeons worked under constant threat of bombing, often improvising with limited supplies but unwavering commitment. In less known but critical experiments, doctors explored reconstructive surgery and skin grafts, helping soldiers recover both physically and psychologically from devastating injuries. Some efforts, though controversial, pushed the boundaries of medical ethics, leaving a complex legacy. These medical advances, born of necessity and urgency, shaped post-war medicine worldwide. They turned the suffering and tragedy of war into progress, helping millions live longer and healthier lives. Through this chapter, we honor those in white coats as much as those in uniform. Their battlefield was human life itself. War was not fought only on battlefields by soldiers. Across occupied Europe, Asia, and even Africa, brave civilians risked everything to resist tyranny. Ordinary men, women, and even children who became soldiers of shadow and sabotage. Partisan fighters in France and Italy launched daring attacks on German supply lines, often equipped with scarce weapons and driven purely by courage and desperation. They gathered intelligence, destroyed railroads, and sheltered escaped prisoners, acts that kept the spark of freedom alive amid oppression. In Southeast Asia, local resistance groups fought against the Japanese occupation, enduring brutal reprisals but never losing hope. These acts of rebellion were often underground, hidden from official documents, but vital to the broader Allied effort. Resistance wasn't only armed, it was also deeply cultural, preserving languages, traditions, and identity in defiance of occupiers who sought to erase them. One striking story tells of a Norwegian woman who maintained a secret radio for 2 years, risking capture to bring news of Allied advances to her people. Another recalls a group of young Polish scouts who sabotaged trains supplying German troops, paying with their lives. These civilian resistance movements shaped the war's moral landscape. Their everyday bravery redefined heroism beyond uniforms, teaching that revolution can be born from ordinary people's will. By recounting their stories, we honor not just soldiers, but all those who stood firm against cruelty in its darkest hour. World War II was a conflict of immense scale, shaping nations and generations. Yet woven through its vast tapestry are countless threads of unheard voices and sacrifices unrecognized. From the snowy ridges of Monte Cassino to the beaches of Normandy, from secret cellars of resistance fighters to the factories fueling the war effort, the story of the forgotten heroes runs deep. These are the men and women who fought without fanfare, whose courage was no less real than that of towering figures in history books. Some were never named, others returned to silence, bearing scars invisible to many. Yet their legacy is vital, not just for the war they fought, but for the values of equality, courage, and humanity they embodied. As we close this journey through the shadows of World War II, we are reminded that history is not complete without all its voices. Listening to the stories of the forgotten enriches our understanding and honors those who dared to resist, endure, and hope. We invite you, dear viewers, to carry this light forward, to explore, share, and remember the unsung heroes not only of the past, but wherever courage remains unheralded today. Thank you for joining this voyage into memory and history. Together, we can ensure that no story, no sacrifice is ever truly lost. Beyond bullets and bombs, World War II was fought in the minds of soldiers and civilians alike. Psychological warfare played a pivotal role, involving propaganda, deception, and psychological operations designed to weaken enemy morale and influence public opinion. From the deafening sound trucks blaring fake orders behind enemy lines to leaflets dropped from planes urging surrender, this invisible front was crucial. The Allies developed intricate campaigns using radio broadcasts in multiple languages tailored to sow doubt and confusion among Axis troops. One especially creative operation used inflatable tanks, fake airfields, and sound effects to trick the enemy into overestimating Allied forces. These deceptive tactics saved countless lives by diverting attacks and buying time for real battle preparations. At the same time, radio broadcasts aimed at civilians spread hope, news from behind the lines, and code words for underground movements. These broadcasts were lifelines, connecting oppressed populations with resistance and relief. Psychological warfare also raised complex ethical questions about manipulation and truth in war. Yet it undeniably shaped the course of battles and the ultimate victory. This lesser-known battle in the War of Minds reminds us how multidimensional World War II was, fought not only with weapons, but with words, sounds, and shadows. World War II was not won solely on the battlefield. Behind the scenes, a complex web of secret negotiations, covert diplomacy, and unexpected alliances shaped the political landscape that would follow the war's end. While nations gathered publicly in grand conferences, many crucial discussions happened in private rooms, involving figures few have heard of. Negotiators quietly forged alliances that sometimes seemed unlikely or even contradictory. For instance, Tibet remained officially neutral, but played a subtle role in intelligence gathering, while small nations sent volunteers across continents to fight for causes they believed in, despite official politics. In wartime embassies, diplomats worked tirelessly to protect refugees, appease conflicting powers, and organize evacuations under fire. One remarkable episode involves the secret dealings surrounding the Free French forces, where political rivalries nearly fractured the Allied front. Yet diplomacy prevailed, uniting diverse factions to focus on the common enemy. These diplomatic efforts, though far from the roar of artillery, were battles of their own, fought with words, espionage, and back-channel communications. They shaped the map of post-war Europe, influenced colonial futures, and laid groundwork for the Cold War. Understanding the diplomatic front adds depth to the story of World War II, reminding us that wars are not only fought with weapons, but with ideas, alliances, and delicate balances of power.